leaned down and whispered something in his ear. His words were indiscernible to the camera, but I swear I could hear Travis's voice saying, "Ronda says f*** you."
Oh my God, dude. That I have such mixed feelings about that. I have such mixed feelings because I love Schaub, dude. Like, I really genuinely love Schaub, but that is pretty fucking gangster, dude. If that's true, if that's a true story, I gotta ask Brendan if that's true. If that's true, that's pretty gangster, dude. Right? You beat the shit out of a dude in the UFC, and as they're like, you're all, hey, Ronda says, fuck you. Right here. Chris Tyson is now a girl. You know, Chris Tyson from Mr. Beast, you know? So it's like, oh, after a lot of talking with a therapist and self-reflection, I realized blah, 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 blah. I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. Well, if we wanted to be more specific about it, if you're a girl, then you're a girl who used to work on the Mr. Beast YouTube channel. Boom. Aren't you glad you sent him to therapy? Ask and ye shall receive. God, can I have a really good topic today? You can have 3, Jesse on Fire. We're going to talk about Ronda Rousey calling Brendan Schaub a mental abuse. He's an abusive man. Brendan Schaub was abusive when they were together. And I listen, when I heard her story, I was like, wow, that really is some serious abuse right there. I don't even know how she survived it. And I understand exactly the second part where she said that she was so happy to see him get very physically hurt and doesn't sound totally psycho at all. So we're going to talk about that. More Ronda being Ronda. And then we're also going to talk about Polyana Viana and Alex Pereira's catastrophic breakup. And apparently it got ugly, which explains a lot, actually. And I'll tell you what I mean, because this whole thing right here, there was something I didn't understand very important about this relationship where I was like, someone needs to explain to me how this is the case as it relates to one of these people, the girl. And now we know. Now we know, you know, related to like, how is she single? How is she always single? You know, now we know. Now we know. So we'll talk about that. And then I've got a really big treat for you guys, a huge treat, because I had to find a video I could shoehorn this into because I wanted to talk about it so bad. But do you guys recall Mr. Beast? And there's a guy named Chris. Chris on his show, this guy, you know, remember him? A real man's man, you know? He's a real man's man. And then he became a real man's trans woman or whatever. And it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal because everyone was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to let my kids watch Mr. Beast so that I can see, you know, they can learn that doesn't matter. Oh, you're a man. Nope, never mind. You're a girl. Like that's definitely a message that I want my kids to have. And so there is a big update with Chris having to do with his job or lack thereof, as it were, you know? Because listen, I never pray for people's downfalls. I never pray for people to lose their jobs, generally speaking, unless, you know, there's a pretty big kind of social deal that's happening there. And I would say the biggest YouTube channel in the history of the world, having a character that everyone knows, a real person who is a man, and then all of a sudden now he's a girl and he abandoned his family. He doesn't want to be the father to his kid anymore. You know, I just feel like it's not really necessarily a message that I want my kids to have. And so thus, this is a big update on that, a big one. And that's going to be the last story that we cover. So buckle up, you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I keep forgetting to ask you guys to like the video. If you could please like the video. It takes 2 seconds. I promise you. If you ever ask me to do you a favor that takes 2 seconds, I will do it. Every time anyone emails me, I always respond. Every time anyone comments and I see it and they ask me for something, I always do it. I'm just asking you this one thing. Please like the video. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do that, and I will appreciate it immensely. Before we get started, I have a really quick sponsor I got to tell you guys about, so buckle up. This is a good one. You heard that flavored air is a category that is quickly becoming an alternative to vaping. It's one of the many movements that's leading people towards better habits, and I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Fume, as a great source for the flavored air movement. Now, the best comparison that I've heard is that if vaping is like sticky soda, then Fume is like herbal tea. Now, Fume has a lot of awesome flavors to choose from. My favorite is orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. I don't know about you guys, but I tend towards bad habits, and one of them may or may not be something that this device is great for replacing. You can draw it into your mouth, it tastes great, and you can, you know, not do things that might be the same but much, much worse. Now, other benefits of this thing is that it's not a vape, so you can use it anywhere. There's no vapor. You can literally be using this thing in the movie theater if you want to. There's no nicotine. It's non-addictive, which is also a great bonus. Now, Fume has served over 150,000 customers, and you could be the next success story. For a limited time, use my code JESSE, that's Jesse, to get 10% off a journey pack. Head to tryfume.com, that's TRYFUM.com, and use JESSE, Jesse, or scan the QR code on screen for a 10% discount on your order, and enjoy. You are going to love it. The flavors are great. All right, so let's start with Polyana Viana and Alex Pereira, a heartbreaking end to this budding romance.
This is not our good day for some fight fans. The MMA dream couple, who only recently publicly...
This is not a good day for MMA fans. Hey, if this fact that Polyana and Alex Pereira ruined your day, you need to seriously check your priorities and get a life, nerd.
Admitted their relationship and were subsequently celebrated by many fans for it, seems to be no longer a couple. Alex Pereira and Polyana Viana were UFC's dream couple, and all fans enjoyed the entertaining videos of them training or fooling around together. Especially fans of Alex Pereira were happy to see him laughing a lot with her and having a smile on his face. It was recently reported that they stopped posting videos together and suddenly unfollowed each other on all social networks. It all points to the fact that they broke up and that it was not peaceful.
Yeah. So here is what I'm going to say about that, right? Here's my take on that. If you look at Polyana Viana, right? She's a smoke, okay? She is a smoke. She's also a girl who practices martial arts and can beat the shit out of people. She's also really cool, apparently. Like when I watched her in her interview with, oh my God. Nina Drama, Jesus. When I watched her in her interview with Nina Drama, I said this about it. I'm like, she's one of the only people I could see speaking another language, and I like completely understand what she's saying. And she's like really likable, even though she's not even speaking my language. Like, she's awesome. That's my first impression of her, right? Now, what I have learned about myself throughout my life prior to meeting Gabi is that if I have an impression like that of a girl, in nearly every case, what that means is she's crazy. I don't know what it is about that, but when I very specifically have like, oh, wow, she's cool, dude. Like, she seems really funny and she seems really whatever. I don't know what that says about me, but those girls always ended up being batshit crazy once you were in a relationship with them. I can't explain that better than what I just said. And if you look at Polyana, and this is kind of the question I always have is like, how is a girl like that single? You know what I mean? Like, I always would ask that. I mean, like, I have that question all the time about girls. I have this other girl I can tell you a story about in a second. I never dated her, but like very similar type of deal where you look, you're like, how is she single? Like, she's straight, right? They're like, oh yeah, she's straight. She slept with Colby Covington. You're like, how does she not have a dude? I don't understand. How could she be running around in the world without somebody locking her down? And the answer, clearly, now we know, is she's crazy. Like, she has to be a crazy girl. That has to be the answer. She's together with Alex. Like, they were only dating for like a couple months. Dude, there is no reason for anyone to have such a like serious breakup situation in that small amount of time to where they're going to unfollow each other on social media unless it's a blowout fight. Like, she's crazy. She has to be a crazy girl. First time they fight, which makes sense, like only 2 months in, probably maybe around the time that people have their first argument, she probably went completely botso, threw shit around and went absolutely insane, and they unfollow each other. Now, listen, it's possible that maybe something else happened. Maybe, Alex got caught talking to his ex-wife or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Who knows? But I think much more likely, given my historical analysis of cool girls who are single at that age, she's probably totally batshit. There's this one girl who I will call Brienne, which rhymes with her real name. So I met this chick. I actually went into Fidelity Investments, and she was working there in Walnut Creek, where I used to live. I cannot even explain to you how fucking hot this girl is. Like, she is like hard to even look at in person, where you're like, oh my God. And she was single, and like she was like friends with someone who I knew, and I'm like, so that girl's single? I mean, I was married at this point. I wasn't like hitting on her or anything. I was just, I found out that she's friends with this girl who I'm really, really good friends with. And I'm like, single? And she's like, yeah, I don't know. And it turned out that she had gone to my college also. So it turned out I knew a lot of people who knew her. And she had dated this dude who I knew very well. And the stories that he told me about her were so fucking crazy. She pretended to be pregnant. Okay. She showed up at a party that he was at because they got in a fight and he left and he went to this party, and she showed up at the party, went completely insane. And then when he was like, you need to leave, he's like, you cannot be here with all of my friends behaving like this. Like, you're being totally crazy. You need to leave. And she left. And then she came back with the cops and told the cops that he hit her. The entire party was like, we watched this entire thing. That's a complete lie. Just a stone outright lie. Okay. Then another time, there was some other story about her with that guy too. That dude's a baller now. Anyway, neither here nor there. So then very soon after that, she started dating an who I actually was friends with. And so I'm looking at them like, man, like part of me is like, man, that guy's super lucky, dude. He gets to smash that. And at the same time, I'm like, but man, I know some crazy shit about her. I hope this doesn't turn out bad for him. The joke I used to always make about her to everybody is I was like, look, man, she might be the one girl where you know all of that stuff. You know every single thing about her. And you're like, man, if this got put in front of me and I'm single, I don't think I could turn it down anyway. I think you might end up dating her even though you know that she's pretended to be pregnant, put fake charges on a guy, and you're like, I can't turn this down, dude. She's that sexy. So what ended up happening was he ended up getting a public domestic violence charge put on him by her. It went super widespread, very public. He was a player, which you're going to be able to figure out who this is if you know it. You know, you'll be able to figure this out probably if I tell you the whole story. So what ended up happening, what ended up actually having been the story was he had been out at training camp or he was on the road somewhere. He came back. She picked him up from the airport. He got into her phone and saw that she'd been talking to someone and lying about it, someone she wasn't supposed to be talking to. He pulled over she picked him up in his truck. So he gets in and he's driving. He pulls the car over. He smashes her phone on the ground and then leaves her there. And she calls the cops. He never touched her, never hit her, nothing. He smashed her phone on the ground and left her in a parking lot. And that turned into a domestic violence charge for him. Okay. So he has to try to explain himself in the public. Ultimately, on a night that he was blacked out drunk fighting with her, he ended up trying to go into the wrong hotel room. He thought it was his hotel room and it was this father and son. They got in an altercation. He beat up the dad and he ended up getting kicked out of the league for a very long time. He almost had to go to prison. Super gnarly story. He's one of the best. Actually. So, yeah. Beware of crazy ass girls because they can ruin your fucking life. Anyway, so that's that. That's that for that story. Let's move on to another crazy girl named Ronda Rousey. All right, so moving right along, let's look at this Ronda Rousey story where she said that Brendan Schaub was very abusive. Let's listen.
Now, Ronda Rousey has been seen as a polarizing figure in mixed martial arts. While she has done so much for the sport, she also hasn't had the best relationship with fans. In a recent book, Ronda spoke candidly about several things from throughout her career, including previous relationships. For those who don't know, she once dated former UFC fighter Brendan Schaub. In her new book, Our Fight, a Memoir, Rousey revealed some struggles she faced with her ex-boyfriend.
Hey, don't forget, guys, the last story of this video is going to be this Mr. Beast firing Chris Tyson story. You're not going to want to miss that, so stick around. And let's be honest, you like this video, so throw a like on it.
Writing, Travis had been training with us for a while when it was announced that his first fight as an official member of our team would be against my ex-boyfriend. My ex thrived on playing f***ed up mind games with me when I had a fight coming up.
Bro. Wow, I've never seen that picture before. Jesus, I had no idea how big he was, dude. I had no idea how big Travis was. Do you guys understand how huge Schaub is in real life? That is absolutely insane. Wow. Wow, that's a scary ass dude. Schaub looks like he's a different species. He's so fucking big. That is insane. Dude, is Travis like, he's got to be like 6'6" then. Based on that picture, I think Travis is 6'6".
And insisted we hide that we were dating so he wouldn't be labeled Ronda Rousey's boyfriend. As Travis headed into the matchup, I pretended it wasn't.
Okay, so for the record, what she just said, okay, let me just go over that again. I know people love hating on Schaub. I mean, I can tell you as a person who knows him really well, he's a really good dude. He's a very nice person. Everyone who actually knows him will testify to that. Even people who are like, oh, sometimes he says dumb things or whatever. No one will ever say he's a bad dude. He's a good person. He's so fucking nice. If you met him in person, you would be like, oh, wow, this dude's like really fucking nice. He's a really nice dude. I hate when people fuck with him. But what she said was, my ex thrived on playing effed up mind games with me when I had a fight coming up. Why would he do that, dude? Okay, like why would he do that? Why would he try to play mind games with her when there's a fight coming up? And she follows up with, right? She follows up with what those mind games are, right? It's right in the next thing. He thrived on playing effed up mind games with me when I had a fight coming up and insisted we hide the fact that we're dating so he wouldn't be labeled as Ronda Rousey's boyfriend. How is that a mind game? How is that a mind game? You're the biggest star in the sport. And again, I've defended, I obviously defend Schaub, but I would defend Ronda Rousey on a lot of stuff here. Like I'm kind of breaking her balls in these videos because I don't know, just because. But like, this is crazy. Like you were a superstar, an absolute stone superstar, the best fighter in the female division ever by 100 miles at the time. She was a Conor McGregor level figure at the time. Schaub is I think, he's ranked in the top 10 at the time or whatever, but he's a heavyweight. Like he was nowhere near Ronda level. And he's just like, look, I just don't want to be known as Ronda's boyfriend. That's a completely understandable thing, dude. To not want to be like second fiddle to the girl. He's in the same sport. Anyway, that doesn't sound like a fucking mind game to me. Let's continue.
Labeled Ronda Rousey's boyfriend. As Travis headed into the matchup, I pretended it wasn't personal. I tried not to be overly involved or emotional. This wasn't my fight. I was hoping he would win, but I was in training camp, so I didn't really think too much more about it.
Wait a minute. You were in training camp. Hold on. So she's in training camp. I'm just saying, like, I'm not, like, this is not that bad, but like, I feel like maybe this is like slightly misrepresented. You're in training camp with your boyfriend. Oh, by the way, I was right. He's 6'7". Good God, that's huge, dude. That is so massive. Anyway, so he's in training camp with her though, right? So like he's training for a fight. He's going to fight her ex-boyfriend. And she's like, yeah, I just wasn't really very emotionally involved. It's like, come on. Now, I'm glad that, I believe her that she didn't want to make too big of a thing out of it because it's like the pressure of a UFC fight is already this enormous thing. And, I'm sure Travis Brown felt overwhelming desire to smash her ex. Dude, I'm telling you right now, early on in a relationship, like really early on before you're married and all that, like, dude, even well into my marriage, if I would have had the opportunity to fight one of Gabrielle's exes, I would have literally been like, I'm going to crush this guy's fucking soul. I'm going to reach into his body and I'm going to pull his fucking soul out and I'm going to eat it in front of his family. I don't know why. That just is the way it is. I've told this story before. Like when I was building my company and I had the reality show that for all indications were that this was going to go to series and it was going to be this wild success and then I was going to blow up and we were going to be like DraftKings, like this, if you guys want to watch that, everybody's always like, oh yeah, right, delusional. I'm like, all right, go watch it. Just search Jesse on Fire startup, go watch it. And then everybody watches it. They're all, oh shit, never mind. You're right. If that would have been on TV, you would have been, in a really good spot. I'm like, yeah, I know. But my point about that is that in my own mind, the only part about that show blowing up that I was like emotional, like where I saw it as like, yes, aside from the fact that it was going to blow the company up, that's all I cared about. So I just wanted the company to work. But also I was like, I love the idea of her ex seeing it because he was trying to do startup shit and just having to look and be like, damn. Well, Gabrielle's new dude is just deep dicking me in the exact game I'm trying to win. So I don't know why. I love that. I knew it was bad karma too. Like I knew that was bad karma and I just couldn't let it go. Now I wouldn't give a fuck. I don't ever want to make anyone feel bad about anything. But man, if I was going to fight him back then, I would just, oh my God. I would be very motivated to win is all I'm saying. But let's continue.
That is, until it was on live TV and I lost my goddamn mind, screaming at the top of my lungs, get him Travis, while punching the arm of the person on the couch next to me. When Travis knocked him out at the end of the first round, I didn't think he could get any more gratifying. My ex covered up on the ground while Travis pounded away on him. The referee waved the match over. Then, Travis towering over the crumpled, semi-conscious body of my ex.
Oh my God, dude. That I have such mixed feelings about that. I have such mixed feelings because I love Schaub, dude. Like, I really genuinely love Schaub, but that is pretty fucking gangster, dude. If that's true, if that's a true story, I gotta ask Brendan if that's true. If that's true, that's pretty gangster, dude. Right? You beat the shit out of a dude in the UFC, and as they're like, you're all, hey, Ronda says, fuck you. That's pretty gangster. I think we can all acknowledge that that's pretty fucking gangster. But anyway, but what's crazy, at least to me, is like it's normal for, and I'm not saying that Ronda falls into any category of normal. Okay, like obviously Ronda is not normal, which has led to why she's one of the greatest fighters of all time. But like, I think it's fair to say that it is totally normal for a new boyfriend to want to crush the skull of girlfriend's, former ex, right? Or current ex, right? I think that's fair to say that most guys would love to smash the face of your girlfriend's ex, right? I think it is very abnormal for the girl to enjoy seeing her ex get his face smashed in by the current boyfriend. You know what I mean? Because like, in case you guys have, I'm sure a lot of you guys actually have experience with this. Girls love the idea of them, they love the idea of dating a dangerous guy. Why? Because they want to know that the guy can protect them. It's just a biological female trait. They want to date a tough dude so that they know that if shit hits the fan, then they're safe. Okay. Girls walk around helpless. Like girls are not really very physically capable to protect themselves in most cases. Okay. But if they actually see real violence, they do not like it even a little bit. Like I'm not talking about like push shove, real violence. You starch a guy in front of them. They do not like that. They don't like it. Even if it's a situation where the guy earned it, it still rattles them in a big way, and later on they'll think about it. Maybe they'll like it, but that shakes them up in not a good way, unless the girl's crazy. Now, Ronda is much more like a dude. Right? She is a girl who dedicated her life to martial arts and mastering violence, so no one's accusing her of being normal, but I still think it's kind of crazy how happy she was to see her ex get his fucking head smashed in. Like, I don't know, when you date someone, it's like you don't like them, but you kind of you really don't like them, but you kind of really don't like them because you really did like them. Do you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? It's like, yeah, I hate that girl or I hate that dude. But it's like, really, it's because you really, 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 really liked that person before. And then things went sideways and you dislike them only in the way that you can dislike someone who you really cared about before. So to me, seeing them get violently smashed and being super stoked about it just seems kind of crazy to me, dude. I don't know, like, have you guys ever had that experience, where you have to put it on somebody in front of a girl and then you get to like watch their reaction and like, anyway, in my experience, they tend to not like it. It's only happened twice in my entire life, but one of them, I've told you guys this story 1,000 times, most likely. If you're new to the channel, one time I got in a fight at my fraternity house when a dude hit this girl that I was talking to with a bottle, and I beat the shit out of this guy. And he stayed at the party all fucked up. And so we let him stay because I told him to leave and he wouldn't leave and he talked shit. So I whipped his ass and then he stayed. And my buddies are like, we gonna let him stay? I'm like, bro, if he's gonna fucking take an ass whipping like that and stay, like fucking let him hang out. And then my girlfriend came. She came and like her and her friend. And anyway, we ended up leaving. It's late. And as we're walking around the corner, we see two guys. I saw two guys run across the street. I knew he had waited for me and he had someone with him. So that's me and these two girls, and he's following me. And they start yelling at me down the street. There's no one around. Anyway, long story short, the guys roll up on me. Hey, are you the guy that And anyway, I ended up starching this guy again. So it was like complete. I don't think she really understood what was going on, but they clearly aggressively approached us and were like, what's up, dude? And I just fucking laid this guy out. And she didn't talk to me for a month. Like, she wasn't like impressed. She's totally the kind of girl you would think would be all, yeah, he's tough. Did not talk to me for a month. Did not like the visual of, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy. Shut up, Bibbs. Anywho, That's neither here nor there. So now let's move on and let's talk about Chris from Mr. Beast. All right, here we go. Here we go. The finale of the crazy girl story. Okay. So crazy girls. Yeah. Or girls. Crazy girls. You know, because Chris Tyson is a girl. It's a girl. So Mr. Beast, Chris Tyson celebrates 6 months on hormone replacement therapy with new transformation photo. So this is from July, okay? So Chris changed his name to Chris with a K, and, look, dude, I'm a girl. I am a girl. I'm a girl. It's so ridiculous, okay? And so everybody who was paying attention to this, everyone was like, when are they going to get rid of this free? You know what I mean? Like, when are they going to get rid of this person who is corrupting the minds of America's youth, you know? And, so, I mean, listen, dude, I just want to make something perfectly clear, right? Let me actually read this verse. After a lot of talking with a therapist and a lot of self-reflection, I realized it was really just this societal pressure of you're Chris from Mr. Beast. You're the guy that starts the fires. You're the guy that builds the stuff. My whole life, I've enjoyed doing those things, but I've never really felt like the guy. Again, aren't you glad you sent him to therapy? You know, aren't you glad you sent him to therapy? I'm gonna actually, you know what I mean? Now, we talked about this yesterday, right? We talked about therapy, right? Therapy and the use of talk therapy. And so in that vein, you have right here, Chris Tyson is now a girl. You know, Chris Tyson from Mr. Beast, you know? So it's like, oh, after a lot of talking with a therapist and self-reflection, I realized blah, 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 blah. I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. Now, obviously, Mr. Beast does not have any girls in the crew that he does this whole thing with. It's him and his other nerdy friends that, listen, dude, you guys have to watch the most recent Mr. Beast. He's so sick, dude. They blow up so much stuff. It's one of the best ones ever. It might be the best, actually. Yeah, I think it's the best one ever. But the way that they handled this thing when Chris, you know, like, oh, hi, now I'm a girl, you know, there's nothing weird about this, was unbelievable. I want to watch you guys, or I'm actually going to watch this with you guys really quick, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Because bottom line, Mr. Beast handled this so well. He was in such a tough spot. His team was in such a tough spot when this, when Chris came out. But bottom line, Chris is no longer, he was not in the most recent video. People are saying that he got fired. I assume that's probably what happened, because how would you still have him on the show when he's a she? He's like, there's no she's on the show, dude. You know, but like, watch this. This is like, just, I don't even know if this person's going to say like, wow, this is transphobic, or if he's going to go, wow, this is super weird at Chris. But bottom line, we're going to watch this together for the first time, and then we're going to discuss it.
Chris came out as transgender and said that he has divorced his wife. Lots of people wanted to know what is up with his family. How is his ex-wife living now, and what actually happened to their 2-year-old son Tucker? We have to start with the Chris tweet, where he talked about the divorce with Katie for the first time. For a little over a year now, me and Katie have been separated. We are finalizing things soon, but these things take time. We like to keep our personal lives private, which a lot of people don't understand because we share so much, but this is the only time I want to discuss it, and Chris didn't lie. That was the first and the last time he talked about his divorce. However, Chris' son...
See, like, this is, when he first came out, oh, you know, I'm going trans, or, you know, whatever. When Chris first was like, hey, I'm going to be a they, them. By the way, I see all these articles written, and they actually do it in pronoun they, and it's like impossible to understand what the hell they're talking about, you know? It's like really weird. It's like, dude, if you're going to use, like, just call Chris she or call Chris he. Okay. They literally does not make sense. Okay. It just doesn't even make any sense. Just call it a girl or call it a boy. You know what I mean? But for a long time, they tried to keep it like gender ambiguous when he was on Mr. B's show. Like, you know, he'd wear his hair like back in a ponytail. He'd wear like a black shirt and jeans. And then every once in a while, you know, he'd do something like this one. Hang on, where'd it go? Well, maybe it's later in the show. Anyway, let's watch this.
Tucker got in a mad amount of dramas in the past few months. Even before Chris came out, he posted a picture of his son wearing high heels on Snapchat, and that made people angry at him. And Chris replied to those messages, saying that people can talk anything about him, but they cannot trash talk about Tucker. A week after...
They're not trash talking Tucker. Tucker's 2. They're trash talking you freak.
Chris came out as trans and revealed he was doing HRT. People got mad at Chris even more since they thought he left the family and abandoned Tucker since he lives without his wife. And Chris replied, "I won't let people talk how I abandoned my child. He is the only priority in my life. I have his love and support, and that is all I need. I'm doing this for him. If that can..."
Oh, really? Really? You're doing this for the boy. You're doing this for your son. That is a ridiculous lie. You are not doing this for your son. That's not true.
Confuses you, educate yourself. If that makes you mad, leave. After that, he even
Again, this is all stuff that you got fed by a therapist, dude. Okay, a leftist therapist fed you all of that, made you believe that that's the case. That's ridiculous, not true.
posted a schedule of meeting his son, and we can tell they meet almost every single day. But now let's talk about Katie, his ex-wife. Nobody from Mr. Beast crew follows her Twitter account, which has only 96 followers, so we can't read her tweets. But even after Chris came out as trans, Katie posted on Instagram some pictures of her and Tucker with the most expensive plane in the world, which was in the Mr. Beast video. That makes us sure Mr. Beast crew and Chris' wife and son still meet and keep being friends even after Chris and Katie divorced.
Whatever. Okay, who cares? All right. So bottom line though, is I think everybody understandably was like, we don't want this person on Mr. Beast because we don't like the idea of our children who watch Mr. Beast seeing a dude transition to a girl as if it's super normal when we don't want them to think that's normal. If it ends up being the case that, you know, someone that they know is trans, it's not like we're going to be like, oh, you can't hang out with that person anymore. It's a much different thing advertising it to them. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got, you know, like this is a straight up advertisement. MK Ultra, you know, trick them into being trans, you know, like is it, the odds of someone on Mr. Beast being trans are like 1 in a million. It's like, it's so rare. It is so absolutely ridiculously rare for someone to do a full transition. And one of the 4 guys on Mr. Beast comes out as trans. The odds of that are so nil that you have to start entertaining that maybe there's an MK Ultra, you know, angle to this, right? Like seriously, think about it. What are the odds that one of the 4 dudes on Mr. Beast come out as, oh, now I identify as a girl? Okay, people who are actually trans is such a tiny percentage. What are the odds? You got to entertain MK Ultra, dude. You got to entertain MK Ultra, and you got to, because it's like the most watched YouTube channel in the world. What would be better for that agenda than having one of them be like, well, now I'm a girl? Nothing. But Mr. Beast and them were smart enough not to let that happen and not to let the show turn into this big political thing, because they would have lost everyone. They would have lost. I mean, this happened right after Bud Light too. They knew if they let this become a central focus of their channel, it would have been over, and it would have been over. They handled it so well. Wildly impressive, dude. But anyway, I don't know. He hasn't been on the last episode or two, and so maybe that's because Chris is gone, and that's what it is. So we'll see. We'll see. So love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.